So we are replacing the antenna on the Starlink because we got a bigger antenna, heavier. It went from 11 pounds, I think, to 18 pounds, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's 100%, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the antenna we had for the lighter antenna was aluminum, and it was thinner, so it wobbled a lot. We had to wait till we got the panels up to see how best to mount it. So we've got this steel piece now, 2-inch steel piece. It fits into a base that the base actually was for a satellite dish that was up on the roof. We're going to use that. We are going to attach some attachment points for guy wires to go down and hold the hold it upright, like you see on any tower, guy wires. I think one set of guy wires should be plenty. If at some point in the future we feel like it's not, we'll add another set up there. But right now we just want to do one. And the reason is not only because I don't have the wire, but because every wire we put up there shades the solar panels. And even a little bit of shade from a wire like that cuts the output of the solar panel quite a bit. It's amazing. So we're going to drill and tap each one of these. So that's a tap. So we're going to use these screws. These are stainless steel screws, and these are called 1024s. There's 24 threads per inch. This is a coarse. There's a fine one, which is 1032, which has 32. The difference is the 32 threads hold better, right? Because you have 32 threads in the steel versus 24. And there's only an 1/8 inch of steel there. So, you know, you got 1/8 of 24, so you got 4 threads holding in there.
Yeah.
Versus if you had 32, you'd have, what's that, 8 into 32? Almost 6, is that right? 5? Anyway. All right, so we drill the hole, and you have to kind of look to see what size your bolt is to know your tap, to know your drill size. So we drill just a little bit less than the tap, so that when we cut out, we're cutting just the threads.
Mm-hmm.
So we drill the hole first, and then we put the tap in there, and you got to be careful because these taps are thin. I can't tell you how many of these I've broken off. And you want to make sure you start it straight and slow. And as you start it, you'll feel all that resistance because you're cutting right into that steel. So you go a little bit and you back up. You go a little bit and you back up. Why do you think you do that?
To get the steel out.
Correct. Get the steel out of those cutting threads, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise they get blocked up and you break your tap. That's why you don't use a drill to run your tap in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can, I've done it, but let me repeat myself, I've broken a lot. So once we get it in to where it's smooth like that, then we can go ahead and go all the way in. And we go pretty much in like that till it spins freely.
Okay.
Then you know the threads are cut. See, it comes right back out now?
Yeah.
When before it was kind of hard. Now, this is steel. This is stainless steel. A little bit of difference. So we use a cool product here called Tef-Gel. Tef-Gel insulates one piece of metal from the other, which means we'll be able to come in here years later and we won't have dissimilar metal corrosion. It's not such a big deal right here, but in salt water, when you've got salt and you add salt in that, now you've got 2 different metals, 2 different electrical potentials. And if you have 2 different electrical potentials and you have some means of connecting them, what does that create?
I don't know.
A battery. And when you have a battery and you have electrical current passing between them, you're going to get a buildup of corrosion. And when you get that buildup of corrosion in 2 similar metals, it'll actually freeze them together. You've seen that? You've seen corrosion, right?
Right.
So this actually stops dissimilar metal corrosion. So now we've got one on. Now we can take a center punch and my favorite baby hammer and just center punch it. Drill it nice and slow and straight. The perfect drill comes with little round pieces of metal coming off like that. But you have to have lots of stuff to make that work. I've never been really good at that. So I'm going to angle the drill a little bit because I can hear it hitting on the side of the metal there. I'm going to angle it and start it, and then I'm going to straighten it up. And when it gets down to where it's almost going to break free, it'll seize it sometimes because for some reason that last little bit you hear it? How it
Yeah.
how it kind of catches. Straighten that up. Tap it, and then start again. Get it straight. And you can see how stiff that is right there.
Mm-hmm.
So we back it out. Right there, I can feel it. And then, see, sometimes it's both ways, right? So then I just got to do this. There it goes. You can feel that metal come out of those threads. We have to hurry up because your mom was painting. She's kind of mad because we took the internet off and didn't tell her right in the middle of her painting. Now her painting's half finished. She doesn't know what to paint, and her paint's all drying. So
Uh-oh.
But we told her just make what's the word? Make what out of what? Make what is it when you make something out of what's bad?
Make lemonade out of lemons?
That's it. Make lemonade out of lemons and just use your imagination and paint whatever you want.
She didn't find that as humorous
She
as
did.
us.
No, she didn't think that was so funny. I thought it. I actually wasn't. I was being serious. She's artistic. Go to it. All right. So we want it on thirds, right?
Yeah.
Because we've got 3. It's right about there on my new paint job. Look at that. I'm already scratching up my new paint job. Okay. In the hole. In the hole. All right. That's all right. We'll just set it over there. Now you see how if it starts curling up like that, then you know you're cutting it at the right speed and the right pressure. There it goes. I had a mentor taught me all this stuff. His great guy. His name was Bob Mergenthaler. Hey Bob, I know you won't ever see this, but if you do, I really appreciate. He actually invented this stuff.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yep. He invented a thing called a ultimate bilge pump float switch, which is, I helped sell him actually all around the country because I was so impressed with him. We had a sailboat then. This is a bilge pump. At that time, there's a company.
Oh, what's a bilge pump?
A bilge pump is a pump in a bilge in a boat. And the bilge in the boat, of course, is the bottom part of the boat. And that's where all the water accumulates. And you do get water in a boat. It doesn't matter what kind of boat you got because you got stuff down there. So it ends up in the bottom of the boat and you got to get it out, right? And if you ever have something break, like a line or anything, you got water in the boat, that's what's going to keep you afloat. So it's an emergency as well as a everyday use kind of thing. So the bilge pumps for years were made of mercury. A little switch with mercury, and when the had a little mercury in it, when the switch floated up, the mercury would float down, and the mercury would create a contact, and the switch would come on. Well, I think on purpose, they made these. I think he's looking for his water you knocked over. I think on purpose, they made these switches so that down in the bilge, of course, you got oil and all kinds of nasty stuff down there, and that breaks down wires. So they would use the flimsiest, nastiest wire they could, the cheapest wire, and it would take about 6 months for those wires to disintegrate, and then your bilge pump didn't work, and you couldn't fix it, so you threw it in the trash. We figured out they were throwing thousands of tons of mercury in dumpsters every year. Tons of mercury. Mercury's supposed to be bad, but so this guy invented a switch called the ultimate float switch that operates on magnets, and and since it's emergency, he wanted to make sure it never failed, so he had a lifetime warranty. And we had videos of him driving his truck over it, and it wouldn't break. And you could clean it, and it had awesome aircraft. He actually worked for NASA, up at Canaveral, in Florida. So he learned. This guy, Bob Mergenthaler, is probably the smartest guy I ever knew. He was just brilliant. He taught me most of what I know about electricity and stuff like this. And
I don't think you tapped it.
oh, thank you. Sitting there yakking. Thank you. That'll make a big difference. That screw definitely won't go in until I tap it. So make it easier to tap with the Teftel in there. It is. It's smoother. See that? But yeah. Anyway, yeah, he invented that switch.
That's cool. I don't think I'm sure I heard of him before, but
yeah, I'll show you a picture of him. The guy was big guy. There's a picture of him helping us paint the bottom of Naiad, our first sailboat. And he's standing there in front of the boat we just painted, and Shelly is standing on a piece of wood that's about this high, and she's almost level with his shoulders. He's a big guy, big German guy. He taught me about tuna. He took me to a restaurant I never knew. He took us to, because we did boat shows all over the country, so we went out and ate all the time, you know. He said, "You ever had tuna done right?" I said, "No, I don't think so." He goes, "Oh man, you gotta have that." So he went and talked to the chef. Came back and he knew all these guys. And man, that tuna that I've shown you that melts in your mouth if you grill it, really hot grill. That's where I learned that.
Now they've got the new pole up on the roof, and I think Miami is like anchoring the base of it, and they're going to put the antenna on, lift it up, and attach the guide wires.
You say you don't wanna get in trouble, that you're doing fine cause you got me. I don't wanna break your little bubble, but you gotta wake up to reality. Cause I can see in your eyes, you're